Just when it looked like we were getting some sort of form back in the league with wins against Dundee and St Mirren, we then appear to take 5 steps forwards and now 10 steps backwards after another defeat. Not just this year, but this season. Hibs coming away with a 2-1 win. It means that we remain second bottom, and next up we have a very difficult trip down to Kilmarnock on the plastic on Wednesday night. That's next for the Dons. How are we doing? Everybody all right? Welcome to the show. Where are we? Monday night here on Ali Beg ABTV. It's so frustrating. Oh my God. It is so frustrating. Tonight is the review show. This is your chance to come on and vent. Have your say. But as I always say here on the channel, keep it respectful. Do your best not to go too mental if you can. Don't swear. Don't use bad language because I simply won't read it out. And just be respectful of your other fans' comments as well, because once again, emotions are quite high. By the time the full-time whistle went at Pittodrie yesterday, obviously the boos rang out, but the exodus after Juan scored the second goal, I don't think I've seen that for quite a while. That was quite telling, don't you think? But we'll get to the Hibs game in just a moment. Big news coming out of the football club today. We have a new sporting director, German Lutz Pufenstiel. Joins the club. He was out of work after leaving his team in America, St. Louis City, back in August, I believe. So, from what I understand, he comes with excellent pedigree in the game. He has played over 500 competitive games across 6 continents. He has worked as a pundit for some of the world's leading broadcasters, particularly ESPN. And I'm sure you all know Derek Ray, the commentator, big Aberdeen fan, has worked with Derek for many years as a co-commentator, and Derek speaks very highly of him. Derek says that he's got a remarkable contact list and there isn't a club in the world that he can't speak to. So he begins his tenure with us next month on the 10th of November. And I have to say, from a personal point of view, I'm very much looking forward to him coming in. Just lock up your penguins. Ali Beg ABTV is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. Not just that, but they also do torquing, testing, refurbishment and welding. Based in the Middle East, they've got offices in Singapore and their home base in Aberdeen. Thank you as always to the guys at Saltire Energy. Right, so a little bit later, because Andrew Budge can't be with us, he's only just literally got back from holiday, so it's a little bit too early to bring him back. Hoping to bring him back after the weekend's game, next weekend. He can't be with us for the Kilmarnock game also, unfortunately. So what I've done is I've picked out a couple of examples where, and this is not me, it's like I always say, we're not digging players out here. We're just showing examples of we think players can do better. And for me, Leighton Clarkson, yesterday, has got to do so much better off the ball. When it comes to the nitty gritty, Leighton has got to really get involved. I think he's a wonderful football player. I think he can open up defences with defence splitting passes. I think he's got a superb eye. But Leighton is guilty of not doing the hard work. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples later where yesterday I was particularly disappointed with him when we really needed players to go that extra mile. Let's be honest, I'm going to take nothing away from Hibs. I thought they were excellent yesterday. I thought they were set up really well. They could have had a hatful of goals yesterday. I think it's very obvious to one and all where currently we are in serious trouble. The forward led players yesterday were far too forward the whole time. The gaps between them and midfield was ridiculous. And then the gap between midfield and defence, again, is bordering on amateurish. Our midfield got overrun time and time again. I'm going to show you the match stats in just a moment to show you the difference between the two sides. And once again, it's absolutely telling. And I don't understand why this can't be addressed. Yimi said after the game in Greece on Thursday that we have to learn. Let me tell you something, and I'm sure you'll all agree that I'm not speaking out of turn here. We learned absolutely jack about Thursday with the goals that we conceded against Hibs yesterday and the opportunities that they created. We learned nothing. And it's becoming annoying, frustrating, and absolutely ridiculous. It really is getting ridiculous. I don't know what the answers are. I really don't. Wednesday's massive. Again. The team. So, he made 3 changes to the side that lost in Greece. Gavin Malloy came in for Topi Keskinen, Antti Palaversa came in for the skipper, and Kevin Nisbet, who I thought did nothing, came in for Marko Lazatic. The problem for me over the piece was, again, not many of the players got pass marks. Adil Ashish, oh my God, mate, I don't know what you're doing. If you think you're here on holiday, jeez, oh my God. This is what the manager had to say after the game. Oh, sorry, those are your match stats. I'll get to the manager in just a second. Sorry. So look, shots, that's not right. Sorry, that should be the other way around. Sorry. Jesus Christ. When I was putting this together, I couldn't believe I was looking at it. It should be the other way around. It was 10 shots, 5 on target. Touches inside the box. These are the two telling for me. Look at that. They had 15 touches inside our box to our 7. It's double. It's just ridiculous at home. It should never, ever be that way. And look at the total big chances. They had 6 to our 3. Again, that should just never, ever happen at Pittodrie. It's absolutely ridiculous. Please forgive me for the mistakes. I was fuming when I put this together this morning. Here is the manager. Fuck's sake, Carly.
No, I think it was a little bit similar chances Hibs created that we get against us in the last game, so we haven't done better there today, and that's why the way the opponent creating some chances is just too easy. We have to put more of our bodies in these situations and defend better. We are a collective team, but also we have some individual responsibility. I take individual responsibility as a manager for this team and the performance we have right now, but also as a player, when you step out on this pitch and put on the shirt, you fight for so many. I know I'm the manager. I'm working for this club. The trust we get, the fans, and we need to show more competitive side when we're on the pitch because this is one of the most important things in football, the competitive side. Then you can have system, strategy, tactics, but if you don't show this passion in these 50-50 duels, it doesn't matter how many we balance the team with, and if it's just too easy to run through us.
You mentioned Hibs chances. Aberdeen created plenty at 0-0 and at 1-0 down as well, but ultimately, perhaps decision making in the final third or whatever, it wouldn't come. How much does that frustrate you, and what can you do to try and change that?
That's what I'm saying. We are in a struggling part right now. We have, of course, we did a good result against Dundee and St Mirren. Then we get this game against Athens, and we have another chance to show that we are on the right track today. And we didn't take that chance because you have to have a try to understand the defending part of football and the passion you have to show there to give you a chance to win football games. Of course, we have sometimes with the ball today, we lose it too easy, and then we get the transitions, or when we have our own chances, we have to be more sharp. But and that's the thing. We have to grow in our own quality, and it's a lot of work to do and a journey to do as a team.
That was the manager talking to the in-house club TV yesterday. Just a gentle reminder that Ali Beg AB TV is brought to you by Craig International, who are a global leader in world procurement services. They're based all over the world, from America to here in Aberdeen, where their home offices are based. They're in Canada as well. They also serve the European continent in Hamburg, and they also serve the Middle East with 3 offices there: Dubai, Oman, and in Qatar. And they're also in Southeast Asia and Australia as well. And next week they'll be at the ADIPEC Conference Exhibition in Abu Dhabi, where Middle East Managing Director Steve Gibson will be there. So if you get an opportunity, please do go along and say hello. Right, just before I get to the examples that I wanted to show you of what happened yesterday on the pitch, just let me start opening that up to you guys just to see how you're doing. Okay, so Julie Bruce says, I still back Jimmy, just as he has to put out the best players on the pitch. It's then up to the players to score and get the points. If we do end up with a new manager, will the player still now find the net? You know, look at Adil yesterday. Missed a great chance. Marco missed a great chance. Just hugely frustrating. It really is. Suze, she says, good evening all. Simon Roy. Evening Ali, fellow dandies. Can see DC, as in Dave Cormack, pulling out all the stops to save sacking JT. This appointment today backs it up. JT has been 18 months now and feel we are regressing, not progressing. John Grant says, yet again we fail to take huge chances in the final third, putting pressure on our leg-weary defenders. I'm all for attacking play if we are strong enough in defence to cope, but we are not. Simon Roy is asking if Jimmy has lost the dressing room. David Drawn, not entirely sure that a penguin kidnapping nutter is what we need at the club. I don't think he's a nutter. However, welcome on board Lutz. Hopefully a positive impact on the club. He does steal penguins, but he's not a nutter. Duncan Wright says, we can't go on like this. The stats are starting to rack up. JT needs to turn things around ASAP or he won't see Christmas in the job. Neom says, can someone tell me where the fight is? The speedy attacks, there was very little yesterday. Near sold out again. Fans turning up. The team, when it suits them, time and time again. Cameron Young says, abysmal result yesterday. Dave wasn't happy yesterday and neither were the Aberdeen fans. On to Wednesday now. But if we beat Killie, if we don't beat Killie, can't see Yimmy getting to Christmas. John Grant says, we have got to get our set plays working, but we constantly achieve nothing, not even at a throw-in where we lose possession too easily. Banksy says, another shocking performance and schoolboy goals let in. We have zero fear factor for other teams. We have zero nastiness. We have zero spine. Can't disagree, mate. Craig94 suggests that we're an absolute joke of a club just now. A complete laughingstock. Sick of it, he says. Yimmy's time's up. He's had long enough. Doesn't even know his strongest 11. It's criminal. Martin Smith says, where do we start with that one? Could easily have lost 5 goals. Powder puff midfield. Armstrong a passenger the whole game. Might as well try a 4-4-2 as we've tried everything else, but with no improvements. Scott Farquhar says, only so many times we can say it. Another failed project. Yesterday was more or less the icing on the cake. We were lucky not to be 5 down. The club's a mess from top to bottom, going backwards. Alexander Wallace says, fail to see what the appointment of a technical director is going to do to influence the course of our current form on the pitch. We need intervention at the coaching level. It's a very, very good point. Scott Bowie says the players need to be scrutinised yet again. The lack of awareness in our play is woeful. The second goal is testament to that with the weak challenge by Clarkson, then Alfie just letting him run in. Right, so you've set that up nicely. Here's the first example that I want to show you. Now, this was just before the second goal was scored. I can't believe they allowed the boy, Alfie and Leighton, to skip through the two of them. He's gone through the two of them, and then thankfully he's put the ball over the bar. It was a shocking miss. But Leighton, Alfie's trying to stand his ground. I get that. He's in the penalty box. But Leighton just moseys on in, half attempts to stick a leg out, doesn't put his body in front of the ball, doesn't make it difficult for the lad, doesn't make him make any sort of decisions apart from go through him. It was absolutely astonishing. Then, for the disallowed goal, look at Leighton's starting position and look at Campbell. Campbell is 3 yards behind him. It's a hit and hope up the pitch. I get that, so anything can happen. But if you follow this sequence of events through, Campbell obviously scores, it's chopped off for offside. The frightening thing for me was that Leighton allowed him, first and foremost, when he's got a 3 yard start, to get past him. He's completely unaware of his surroundings. He lets him sprint into the box. He does nothing to stop him. No shoulder barges. No just getting in his way to stop the run. He actually moves slightly to his left instead of looking over his right shoulder to what's going on. It's a complete lack of game management. This is where Leighton has got to really start improving his game. It's no wonder the lad finds himself on the bench. So many of you ask, why doesn't he start? Why is he not playing? The problem with Leighton is he's fast becoming a luxury player. We can't afford to have luxury players at this moment in time. We need nasty, horrible players. And at the moment, we simply don't have any. Not one. Simon Roy says there was interest from the Middle East about investing in the club, but DC would not entertain it. I have been out here for the last 5 weeks. Barry Cole says, good evening, Dandy. Sorry state of affairs. Don't see how we're going to find a fixed team and start. Banksy says, another thing, players like Milanovic, Ashish, Keskinen need to start delivering. I agree. The Mad Ferret says, just when you think things can't get any worse, lo and behold. Neilm says, see everyone blaming Yimmy. 11 players on the pitch. Tactics don't teach fight. That's inside the players. There's none. Stuart Cleary says, again, we miss chances, then get caught out with pace from team trying to get us on the break. We just beat ourselves again. Norman Baker says, Jimmy's post-match comments never seem to vary very much. I don't think he knows what to do about the situation. Jake something says, if we fire JT, maybe we can get Brendan Rodgers when Celtic fire him. Graham Gibbs says, just watched a very interesting podcast featuring Derek Ray. Very interesting chat on Lutz. Kirsten is here. Good evening, everyone. Hibs get their first away win against us. We have no fight in that team at all. When will it change? Jeff Mason says, Yimmy seems like a really nice bloke, but his inability to adjust or learn from previous defeats is the biggest worry. Ryan Ellington says, hope everyone is well. Just no words to say. The football book repeats itself. Me and my uncle were at the Pittodrie, left before full time, raging. Chris Clark says, put Lutz in at centre back. He was a goalkeeper, wasn't he? Grim Finlinter makes a good point. He says, sick of clubs coming to Pittodrie and loving it. Even if we win on Wednesday, it doesn't save Yimmy, just delays the inevitable. He has had plenty of time, but it's failed. Time to reset and save our season. Another sort of little argument. I was talking to Andrew Budge this morning. He made a very, very pertinent point when I was chatting with him. When you talk about players like Bahalovic, players like Kjartansson, players like Frame, who have all come to the club upwards of nearly £1 million, Now, whether they've been brought in as part of this model, I don't know. But it would appear that it is. The problem for me now, and Andrew made the point, that if these guys are not going to get game time, what's the point? Because all it's doing is making us thin on the ground. It's actually depleting our squad, not enhancing it. These guys have been nowhere near it. And at the moment, this is why I think as much as we got one or two good players in, Marco, for example, the rest just seem to make up the numbers. And none of us, I think, are convinced that the model at the football club is working. And the last thing we needed, when you look towards the end of last season and look at how our season began, that we needed project signings. It was the last thing the football club needed. We needed players who could go immediately into that first team and enhance the first team and improve the first team. Because we were on a very scary, slippery slope. And I still think we're on it. And I think the club, in hindsight, got it wrong. It's just a humble opinion. Ewan Sutherland said, Palaversa and Ashish flatter to deceive. Both need replaced. The notion of playing 1.5 million for the latter is a nonsense, and the money has to be directed towards players who will have an impact. Whoa, what's happened here? Hang on. There we go. Dave B says, I just can't believe how easy we are bullied. The only ones that weren't bullied were Devlin, Knusta and Lazetic, which is a surprise considering how we played against St Mirren. John Kylo says, whatever fans think, Yimmy doesn't kick any balls. Too many players playing poorly. We have zero pace in the team, front and back, and the players are so much in awe of Carlson, they hope he'll do it. I got to be honest, I'm not digging him out, and I get his frustration, I really, really do, but there was a couple of occasions when moves broke down that he threw his arms in the air in exasperation. That's fine, I get it, I really, really do, but mate, honestly, we need you to get back in. That's what we need. We don't need players throwing their arms up in the air and heavy sighing and rolling their eyes if a move doesn't come off. We need them to get back in. We need them to work off the ball. That's what we need. But I get it. Christine said, after a nice trip to Athens, apart from the result, we really needed to bounce back in the league. But again, we look like we do not have a clue how to grind out results. Andrew says, quite a few players lack fight, desire, hunger and legs. We need the midfield to run all game. Banksy, just following up what I said earlier. No point in buying great young talent and never giving them a chance. Chris Clark said, every week it's lessons to be learned and we now must put in a good performance next week. Yet neither ever happen. No progress, no improvement, nothing. We are stagnant and don't compete. No grit. Dave B says, JT cannot coach fight and aggression. No, he can't, mate, but he can instill it. That's what he can do. He can instill it. But I agree with you. It can't be coached. Fight and aggression come from in there. Gary Robertson said, personally, I think we need to revert to a back four. This back five isn't working. We practically don't have a midfield. I really think we miss Nielsen in midfield, but that's just a humble opinion. Mate, you are more than entitled to your opinion. Banksy said, hard to get more involved. Oh, he's just retracted the message. John Kyler says, the 3-4-2-1 system doesn't suit anyone in the team bar Carlson. Both Jensen and Malloy are not wing backs, and I feel sorry for them. David Williamson says, quite simply, JT has to go now. Norman Baker says, Ali, I agree. We're not learning and there's no point. Yimmy keeps saying we have to when we don't. James Brown says, not keen on sacking Yimmy, but seriously, where do we turn? Beginning to get desperate. Graham Gibb asking, very simple question. What has Polvara done that he can't get a game? Graham Gibb says, Carlson annoyed me yesterday. He acted the prima donna, not shout. He acted the prima donna, shouting at other players, I think you mean, Graham. He was rotten yesterday. No, he didn't play great, mate. You're right. North Ayrshire Dandy says, I do not agree with that. Talina's a very mellow character and sometimes you need more intensity. Rod Cow was suggesting on more than one occasion, I thought Dorrington's run looked like he was carrying an injury. Do you know what? I did wonder that. I did wonder myself if he's carrying a knock. Steve AFC said, mixed reports in the Red Shed yesterday. Hibs started singing sacked in the morning. Half of the Red Shed joined in and the other half booed at the people joining in. 50-50 for Yimmy, I think. I have to be honest. I got to be honest. And again, it's just a humble opinion. I don't think that helps. It doesn't help the situation. No matter what your opinion is of the manager, I think doing that as a support at Pittodrie is not a good look. It's like what we talked about when you boo the players that come on, all that sort of stuff. I just don't think it helps. I get it, but I don't think it helps. Banksy says, Ambrose, what's the plan for him? Is there a plan? More wasted money. 100%, mate. Graham Gibbs says, how often did we get warnings that Hibs were exploiting our lack of pace at right centre-back? Both Alfie and Milne beaten for pace. Meanwhile, Nicky Devlin was running about like a second striker. He was. He was far too far forward. Keith Shepard said, decision-making is once again a major concern. So many giveaways. Chris Clark says, I can't believe how much we have spent to assemble this squad and how poor they are. Past teams of free signings managed to beat Copenhagen and draw with Bayern Munich through fight and effort. Living Baxter said, I heard issues in the dressing room with Polvara, but who knows? Keith Shepard said, I agree, Polvara needs to be on the pitch. Right. I am going to slightly attempt to cheer up the show. Hang on. I'm going to show you this. Right, in you go. So, on this day in the club's football calendar, back in 1985, we beat Hibs 3-0 in the Skull Cup final. A brace from Eric Black and a third from Billy Stark gave Sir Alex Ferguson his first and only success in the competition. Who went? I did. It was great. The game was over so quickly. Again, Aberdeen were brilliant that day. Frank McDougall and Eric Black up front. Oh, it was just delicious. 1962, Aberdeen former club captain Stuart McKimmie was born. Stuart sits 5th in the all-time appearance list, having played 562 games for the club. He scored 9 goals during a 14-year spell at Pittodrie. Stuart celebrates his 63rd birthday today and, quite oddly, still waiting to get into the club's Hall of Fame. Not in the Hall of Fame yet. Right. Stephen Waters has said, Nisbet is getting pelters from the fans. Nisbet is a penalty box striker, not a hold-up striker. He's getting zero service. We're asking centre-backs to run the length of the park to cross the ball. Rodcow says, JT doesn't need to be frothing and raging at the side of the pitch. It's the players that need to show the fans they will fight with everything they've got. That's what we love to see. Gary Robertson was at the cup final back in 85. Chris Clark says, Ali, go get a brew, take a 15-minute break, then let's get the preview show for Killy on the go. That's coming tomorrow, Chris. And I'm going to be back tomorrow night to preview the game against Kilmarnock. Never stops, mate. Robert Fowler says, defenders need more discipline and stay in their own area instead of charging forward, leaving the door open at the back. Grim Gibbs said, when Toppy lost it in Greece, Polvara grabbed him and walked him away. That is the type of guy I want playing in my team. 100% Graham. Couldn't agree more, mate. Neilm says, in past times, if you couldn't do it, you were gone. I think there's a few need gone. One put back to his own club, and also too many touches. Just bang the bloody ball. Yeah. It's a simple game, isn't it? You know, when you see sight of the goal, just give it a wee crack. You know, just give it a crack. Banksy says, to get more out of Nisbet, I think we need to play both him and Lazetic up top as a 2. Right, guys, we're done. We've done over half an hour now. So, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it as always. Don't forget to like. Just helps with the old algorithm. Viewing figures have gone recently, which is absolutely fantastic. So, you liking the shows is helping massively. Keep subscribing. Keep following the channel. The numbers are rising daily. You know, we're getting now closer to sort of towards 4,000, 4,800. We're getting there. It's astonishing. I'm loving it. My aim is to get to 5,000 before the end of the year. Can you imagine? So, going to be back tomorrow for the preview show ahead of the Kilmarnock game. It's all fun and games, isn't it? I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stand free.